own. I'm just going to share my screen here. I'm going to go right into a case study, if you will, of a recent brand I did for a design and home remodel company. Just a few things before we start that, though. Why is it so important? Well, think about any experience you've ever had with any business. How much does it matter? How much do first impressions matter? They matter immensely. If it looks like they're shisty, maybe they don't have a logo barely at all, something that's typed, something that's template, you tend to go, all right, well, I mean, they still might be a good business, but they're, you might be turned away immediately. It's kind of the same thing that we've heard about with an ever increasing visual world that we live in. The images that we see do most of the talking for us and help us make the decisions that we are going to make. It's just part of the world now. You can't do anything in this world without someone seeing and having some sort of image to go with it. I mean, that's just how our brains work. Most of our brains. How do we remember things? We visualize something, and that's how we say we maybe remember a name. We remember that face and associate it to that name that you heard. So the same thing works in branding. If you don't have the correct tools, your sales pitch doesn't matter. Your sales pitch is you're already at a complete disadvantage before you've even opened up your mouth to tell them what your business is all about or show them what your business is all about. So that right there is just those first few seconds too. It could be the first few seconds, and then it could be something they think about later on, and when it's registered in the long-term memory. These are all the things you have to take into consideration when you think of what the brand should be. I mean, so I for one, when I'm dealing with any client, I do all of the correct research that I need to. I need to research, target audiences. Socioeconomic level of the target audience, needs and wants, anticipating those needs and wants of that target audience, and also just all while trying to get the client's vision to come true as well, and come up with a concept that they can be really proud of, because it's not going to be worth anything if the owner or the business isn't confident with it and aren't happy with it. It still might look great, but if it's not executed well and they don't feel like it's advertising the correct aspects of their business, then it's not going to work well. It's just not going to. It's not going to be a tool they're going to utilize to its fullest advantage, to its fullest benefit. So, that being said, what makes me maybe different from another designer is I, for one, I am very client-centric, I guess you might want to say. I like to make sure that they are involved every step of the way without taking too much time out of their life. So I keep them. We do baby steps. Say it's a client, say it's a logo rebrand. We're going to do baby steps and they're going to see every single refined sketch that's made of the base concept logo. That way, when we get towards the end, they already know what it's going to be. A lot of designers, what they'll do is they'll go away for 2 to 3 weeks and come back with 3 ideas. Now, what if the client doesn't like those 3 ideas? Well, that's a really disappointing 2 to 3 week wait, and it's frustrating for both sides. So I cut that out, and it's been working great for me. I've been doing that method for about 2 or 3 years now. And that's kind of what makes me different. I want to make sure that every client that I work with is involved every step of the way. So that being said, I think I will bring you into a case study. So I will share a screen here. I'll share this screen first. This is an old logo that the client came to me with that they were already using. This client is a design, first of all, the Advantage Design and Remodel. They gave me the permission to do this, of course. And they are a home remodel company in Wisconsin, specializing in kitchens mainly. So what happened with them is they came to me through another great networking thing right here. A guy that I work with, a web designer, came to me there. He was working on their website. They decided they wanted to change their brand up since they're doing a lot of remodeling to their visual brand already. So that I then took that, and this was their original logo. They came to me. The overall challenge was boring. I mean, that's the first thing they said too. I mean, they're like, it's okay, it's gotten us by, but it's boring. It doesn't. The A is just an A. The box here is kind of just there. It's not really doing anything or adding any sort of benefit to any to the brand itself, or it just doesn't make sense why it's there, basically. The font is solid, the logo type down here, but again, boring. Nothing special, nothing to remember them by. And he showed me several of their competitors in the Wisconsin area, and they weren't much better, but they were definitely better than what they had. So their overall goal was to stand out over the competition, take some new logo, take some new colors that they wanted to implement. They also, a big point they wanted to make was bolder. They wanted a more stern and I guess you want to say upfront brand and visual. So I took that information. I then did what I created what I call a mood board. And basically that idea is to show them a bunch of stuff on the internet, either other logos that I find that examples, maybe some of my own work I've done in the past, and just maybe colors and all sorts of different things like that, just to kind of give them an idea of what we're going to be looking at. What's going through my head when it comes to the visual. So we then take that, I get the feedback from them, and then we start the sketch phase. The sketch phase is the funnest part, most painstaking part too. Basically, I do 10 to 15 thumbnail sketches. They're just gross, disgusting sketches. I would show you, but they're all on my iPad. I wish I came a little more prepared. So do your imagination. They're just really, really small concepts that I break down with the client and make sure they see what I'm going for, and kind of pick out three to five that they want to see refined more. And we then do that until we narrow it down. It takes usually 3 or 4 rounds of back and forth to a single refined clean sketch. So we then take that, I then take their feedback from that, and I create the brand. And that is, hold on, new share. I then create a full brand. This is the brand guidelines. This is what they're going to be referring to for the rest of their life. They don't need to come to me every time they have some small thing that they need their logo or their colors implemented on. They can just refer to this PDF at any time, and it will give them everything they need to know to keep their brand consistent and keep it, within those, guidelines, so things don't get too washed out as they go along, with different applications, different purposes for using it. It'll all stay the same. And that is one of the biggest keys to any brand, is making sure it stays consistent. So this was the monogram. Every good logo system, it's called the logo system, and I'll get into that in a little bit, comes with different variations of the logos. These days you can't have a website without it being compatible on your phone, on your tablet, and on your desktop, right? It needs to look good on all three. So same thing works with your actual branding. You cannot have a good brand with just one logo. It doesn't fit everywhere you're going to want your brand, and it's not going to look good in every space that you want to put your logos onto. So what you need is a system. This is the mark that we came up with. It can be called a monogram. Great for, your profile photos, anything that's small, favicons, just left chest logos on merchandise, anything. You definitely need something like this to stand out and to have a well-executed brand, especially one like this for Advantage, where they have the A, the D, and the R, and they almost always use Advantage design and remodel in all their stuff. They want, those three words to all be used when they refer to their company name. So this is the primary logo type. This is something, obviously everyone needs some sort of logo type of their name most of the time. For them, I went with something very simple, but also gave it some unique touches to make it their own. So that's what they call these serifs, and that was my little touch to add something that won't be on anything else that you ever see, like the way that they're actually formed and made. So that's always a big thing that I always like to let the client know. I mean, you will always get something. It may not be the most revolutionary, reinvented wheel design, but it will be totally unique to you, and it will accentuate the right feel and the right qualities of your business. And here comes the badges. Oh, this whole brand turned out so great. And so basically we gave them 6 logos, 6 logo variations. It started with the 4 logo pack. I had a couple other ideas. We had then added them on. So we got an oval badge, a hexagon badge, monogram circle badge, and this was a nice little fun touch that I had at the last minute, was a Wisconsin badge. And they're in the Milwaukee area, just in the suburbs there, New Berlin, Wisconsin. And yeah, so we came with all that together, and everything just turned out really well. And everything needs to just blend well together, but also be its own thing. And I think it was executed that way. You need to know what colors to put, colorways to put on, which colorways to put on each different kind of background. So the way I organize the files when I send it over is background color. So you just know, well, I have a white background. Well, I know I'm going to use the white background, and I want to use this logo variation. You'll find the exact one. They all have their own kinds of colorways, so everything can always be consistent and visually pleasing and legible too, which is a big thing. Also, here's the whole logo system together. Those are the logo type badges and logo type with no badge as a system. And there's your monograms. So some of these, I believe I changed this. So this might be a slightly out of date version from the one I actually gave the client. But you do get the idea. Circle badge, Wisconsin badge, the monogram. And they already started implementing this on all their social media and their website, and they executed it very well. It's great to see a client that actually is excited to use their work fast, because I only finished this with them last month. And minimum sizes, something you got to look out for. There's a certain point to where these aren't going to be legible or readable at all, and it can depend on the design or the concept, but overall you want to know that. And you want to know just how small we can go with it. Favicon, that's what's going to show on top of your browsers, just to give them a nice visual idea. And your color palettes, very important. Your primary palette here, that's you're going to want to know for print and for web which attributes you need to use. And you're going to have vendors they're going to call upon you. They're going to be like, what Pantone is it? Like, well, I don't know. If you don't have something like this, that's probably what you'd say. I don't know. But now they know. They can easily look it up and they can give it to them. No problem. Brand stays consistent, even when printed, screen printed, whatever it may be. Typography is big. This is one of those big things that come with consistency in any brand. They need to be on your website. You want certain things that are going to be your paragraphs, and you want something that's going to be your headlines, and you want that to be consistent on all of your documents, all of your branding, because it just shows, pardon my French, you have your shit together, and that's the bottom line. It just gives that feel. Some UX guidelines for creating a website. Give this to a web designer. They can follow this, and it should keep things pretty consistent. And that is it. And that was a email signature I created for them to show them. But yeah, probably don't need to show his information. But I think that's pretty much the case study. We it turned out to be around 3 weeks from onboarding to finish. But they ended up being very happy with everything. They ended up wanting me to do some more collateral for them. I did business card, letterhead, um, what else? So all their social media banners, and yeah, they everything just turned out great. Some things I would have done different. I actually learned a lot about what specific files to send. I actually was sending them only high resolution files for web purposes. Well, as well as the print files for vector files. But I know mumbo jumbo. Just but but I learned that I was doing some things wrong. I wasn't sending they needed a lower res version too for profile photos and things like that on social media. So that was something no one's had trouble with before, but I learned, and that was something I'm doing. I'm taking and correcting on all my file packages going forward. So things, I always, that's a big thing with me, is to always take note of what went right and what went wrong on each project. And I think it's been helping. Every single one seems to have something a little different that I did that has helped improve it. Obviously, you always end up learning another thing you could be doing better, but that comes with time. So that is in a nutshell, what I do. That's my specialty, is logo and branding packages. So you guys got a good little insider into that. And yeah, I think that's actually a good time to wrap that up now that I'm looking at the clock.
Great. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Michael. Let me just kind of recap a couple things that I heard that are the takeaways. One is you've got to identify your persona, your ideal customer. I mean, when you walk in to work with Michael or a designer, that's got to be like one of the top things that you've got to keep in mind is, who am I trying to pitch my brand to? The second